we look at the Indian ecosystems, let us see how the tier 2 and tier 3 cities in India are faring. For the last 6 years, India's startup ecosystem has come a long way, having become the world's third largest startup ecosystem with over 55,000 startups. India is at the center of funding plans of world's biggest investment funds. But as entrepreneurs chase the next billion users to make products or services for them, there has been an increasing expectation that investments will come in the cities where these users also live. We are talking about Bharat, which resides in the tier 2 and tier 3 cities of India. With an internet base of over 700 million, India is the market that every tech company needs. While Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi, NCR usually take the limelight when it comes to the startup ecosystem in India, tier 2 cities are also rapidly emerging as a source of innovation. Often neglected, these cities are bustling with talent and resources and are overcoming the lack of less vigorous support infrastructure, such as incubators and accelerators. In fact, some of the largest incubators or some of the oldest incubators are actually housed in these tier 2 cities. With the government playing an active role, tier 2 cities are gradually coming up into the reckoning. From Madurai to Indore and Mohali, and from Jaipur to Udupi and Bhubaneswar, stories of successful startups are similar in tier 2 and 3 cities as well. As long as the idea is good and the product is of a global quality, the location does not matter anymore in India. Home to many leading universities, the city of Chandigarh, for example, is abundant with innovative minds, startups, and the spirit of entrepreneurship. The most successful startups are those striding towards sustainable development and targeting mental health. Nagpur, for example, is fluttering with startups with young innovators. Interestingly, it is the hub for the vast number of food tech startups. The startup ecosystem trend is similar in other fostering tier 2 cities like Indore, inclining towards e learning, Kochi, focusing on aquaculture, Ahmedabad, nurturing niche based startups. These are just a few cities that I could think of and I mentioned here, but the list is quite long. Even within each state, there are cities that are really doing well and competing with each other for the top spot. Evidently, the tier 2 and tier 3 cities are cultivating um, a number of well known startups and have also showcased a plethora of innovations and skill. But the startup ecosystem in these cities still faces some hurdles and is still gradually growing to become probably one of the hot hubs for startups in India. Tier 2, Tier 3 cities in India are emerging as a business pivots, opening up unusual job opportunities. Many factors are responsible for the growth of these cities as well. Um, you know, Excessive rents and high operational cost in tier 1 cities can be a massive deterrent to those just settling into their businesses. And hence, probably tier 2 and tier 3 cities, where these costs are marginally lower or comparatively lower, are the target for these companies to settle down. Again, startup finds that these initial costs, including the costs of skilled manpower, affordable and local authority support, is much more friendlier when it comes to tier 2 and tier 3 cities. In fact, during the COVID lockdown, a lot of skilled manpower, trained engineers, trained youth have actually moved back to their hometowns, which are the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and hence there is a lot of job opportunities as well as uh, skilled manpower available, and this matching has helped in the growth of startups in these cities as well. Again, the availability of new co-working spaces in smaller towns has made it easier for startups to function without heavy initial investment. The low cost of living, of course, also brings down the overall cost of running the business. So, and again, over the years, what has happened is the state governments have also put a major focus on funding incubators and backing up innovations. Some of the programs like the Startup Chhattisgarh or the Kerala Startup Mission have set the momentum going for entrepreneurs in smaller cities in India as well. Additionally, tier 2 cities like Jaipur, Patna, Indore, Surat have recorded an economic growth rate of over 40%, making them attractive options for larger firms as well. Larger spaces are available at lower cost, enabling these firms to operate at a larger scale. The tier 2 and tier 3 cities also provide a massive pool of untapped talent, as I earlier said. Well trained companies can benefit from a large, highly skilled workforce at a fraction of a cost compared to metro cities. Some millennials seek opportunities that will enable them to live closer to their families. Others find that their skills are valued higher and their demand is greater in smaller towns that are not yet saturated with talent. Financial advantage plays a huge role in decision. The cost of living, as I said, is one of the biggest deterrent when it comes to setting up in the larger cities. Rise of technology, e-commerce, and other advanced facilities in these cities has also facilitated in providing most, if not all, opportunities and a lifestyle that a bigger city can also provide. Hence, these all in all are helping tier 2 and tier 3 cities, or as I earlier said, the Bharat that we all know, grow as a better ecosystem for startups as well. India and global startups are increasingly marketing their solutions towards Bharat from podcasts to online groceries as that market is fresh and untapped. Experts suggest that the cost of running a business as well as hiring skilled manpower is much lower in non metro startup hubs in the country. As I had earlier said, the pandemic allowed thousands of talented engineers and other white collar workers to go back to their hometowns as they begin working from home. But after knowing that all it takes to work on a project is a good internet connection, it would make sense for them to work in companies that are local and in their cities as well. Of course, this would mean that they might probably get less salaries as compared to the major cities. But then, when it comes to cost of living, that is substantially lower. All in all, leaving them with probably a positive cash flow as much as they would have had in the bigger cities. State governments too will have to create an infrastructure to compete with cities like Delhi, NCR, or Bangalore or Mumbai to provide their youth ample opportunities to succeed. One of the biggest hurdles faced by startups in tier 2, tier 3 cities is lack of funding. For a startup to function, a significant amount of working capital is essential for scalability and growth. But in terms of drawing investments, startups from these cities are at times, facing countless challenges while raising funds. Although raising funds has perhaps always been a major challenge for entrepreneurs from these cities, it's on another level altogether. Investors reluctant to travel to these smaller cities are is a notable reason, along with the limited clientele based and the markets yet not ripened. Lastly, the adaptability in these cities is slow. A majority of startups onlookers believe that the markets is not yet ready for sectors like e-commerce, healthcare, transportation. Um, but it is also to prove its acceptance when it comes to B2B startups and other sectors like hyperlocal and automobiles. With the government's numerous efforts and initiatives intending to strengthen the Indian startup ecosystem and unravel the digital opportunities, it is high time for startups and entrepreneurs to make the best use of these endeavors. Every state government in India has taken measures to aid the growth of innovations and boost the contribution of startups in the economy. Entrepreneurs must strive to find the right solution to pertinent problems with the right tech. Instead of chasing hyped funds or duplicate models in overly cluttered segments, although several obstacles do exist, the odds of failure are far from overwhelming and the fruits of success are great. We don't know. We might probably see the next Indian unicorn emerging out of these tier 2 or tier 3 cities. So it's about time we look at India as an ecosystem as a whole. In this 5-part series that we saw, we looked at the top 4 destinations in India, but we also are now talking of the tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Probably it's about time that India will, as a whole, look at being one of the best ecosystems in the world and will enable a lot of uh, startup and innovation happening. Of course, we have yet long to go before we look at competing with the likes of US or China, but probably it would be difficult for us now to go back from the third position or lose out from the third position to any of the closest competitors. Thank you.